All right, what's up? Good morning, PT on Ice Daily Show. Thrilled to be here. I am Dr. Jeff Moore, currently serving as the CEO of ICE and lead faculty for cervical and lumbar spine courses. Happy to have you here on a Leadership Thursday, clearly the best day of the week, not only because it's Leadership Thursday, but because it is Gut Check Thursday. We got a doozy. As always, here's what we got. We got an AMRAP 12. So as many rounds or reps as possible in 12 minutes. What is it? It is this. It is one lunge stir and then two pull-ups and then two lunge stirs and then four pull-ups, and onward and upward we go, increasing for as many rounds and reps as possible. Now, a lunge stir is going to be that front rack position, lunge, lunge, thruster. So you can imagine we're going to start feeling those. Prescribed weight is 75, 55, and then pull-ups just going from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8. Had some fun scores come in already, so everybody enjoy that Gut Check Thursday. As always, tag Ice Physio, tag Gut Check Thursday. We love watching everybody get after those here at the end of the week, doing a little something that sucks to make the rest of your week better. Okay, courses coming up. We have all the courses. This weekend, we've got Fitness Athlete. Mitch is going to be down in Atlanta, just north there in Johns Creek. Jordan's going to be out in Mesa, Arizona for lumbar spine. I will be over in North Platte for cervical spine. Gallant is going to be up in Bismarck with our friends at CC's for extremity management. Next weekend, older adult crew is going to be in Casper. Mitch is back on the road with Fitness Athlete Live in Texas, Hazlet, Texas. Dunaway is going to be out in Simi Valley, California with Total Spine Thrust. Online courses, Essential Foundation, CMFA, sold out per usual last night. So that one's all eaten up. I'm sure the new cohort is already on the board. Grab a ticket to that. If you want to be in CMFA Essential Foundations, tends to sell out every cohort. So grab your ticket early if you want to jump into the next one. Rehab of the injured runner, deadline is September 21st. Then we've got primary care physical therapy online with Morgan Denny, October 4th, and persistent pain comprehensive management with Justin Dunaway. That 8-week online course starts October 11th. So all the courses are available. Get out there, have a great time learning, get after it. Let's talk about Leadership Thursday. Learners love reps. Yes, but why? Zach Long, aka the Barbell Physio, posted a quote that I had a while back, speaking to how I mentioned that I can recognize the quality of a learner by their love for repetition, right? A great learner loves reps again and again and again. Mediocre learners or low quality learners tend to feel they have a thing right away, right? They don't tend to have that same love for repetition. Why? Right? The post generated a lot of great discussion. But the question is why does it shake out that way? There's really no doubt that it does shake out that way, that great learners love reps, but why? Now, the immediate or obvious answer is the person who does more reps gets better at the thing. Okay, there's no question about this, right? When it comes to virtuosity of technical accomplishment, simply doing the thing more definitely leads to a higher level of skill with the thing. But that is only one dimension of why this is so incredibly important. I would argue the more important difference between the great learner and the lower quality learner in this love for repetition revolves around freedom. So let me explain. So I used to manage a restaurant back in the day called Dominic's in Fort Collins, Colorado. It's still there, by the way. It's on Harmony and LeMay. If you go there and Brian, the owner, is there, tell him Jeff said hi. He'll get a huge kick out of that. But during my time there, I learned a lot. But one of the things that always impressed me was how the chefs, one gentleman from Philly in particular, but the chefs espoused this 1,000 rep rule. So they spoke to this idea that when you come across a new recipe, you never modify it until you've made it the prescriptive way per the recipe 1,000 times for a number of reasons. Number one, they would say, how could you possibly have any kind of relationship with the recipe to where you think you know what needs to be modified until you've made it 1,000 times, right? They clearly felt there was some arrogance involved with the idea of adjusting it earlier than that. But there was also the importance of making it an automatic process. And that's what I want to unpack here today. So this all came to light one evening when we had a crazy rush at the kitchen. So everybody who's been in the service industry right now, you probably had a flashback, right? You picture this crazy dinner service where that is exactly what's going on. In the back of the house, especially because the customers can't see it, It is chaos breaking free, right? There are tickets falling off the rail. People are running everywhere. The front of the house is yelling substitutions. It is all the chaos that you imagine or that you've experienced if you've been in that world. And I was standing there at the pass because I was waiting for my food as well. And here was our head chef at the front of the pass plating our special, okay? Clearly fully engaged with intricately preparing and plating the special. Around him is complete chaos, right? The heat, the noise, the intensity, the panic, it's all happening. And in the middle of this, out of nowhere, he turns and yells, "Chicken," over his right shoulder. At that moment, one of the line cooks opens up the oven and amongst all the items inside the oven, pulls out a chicken al matone, puts it on the pass, takes off the brick, and here is this perfectly cooked chicken. My mind was blown, right? What he was experiencing, what was going on around him, to call that chicken pullout at the perfect second in the midst of all that blew my mind. So later I asked him, I said, "Dude, how?" Can you probably put that chicken in there 15 minutes before that? Literally 1,000 high intensity moments happened since the moment the chicken went in and the moment you yelled for it to be taken out. And it appeared none of your focus was on the chicken when you yelled it. And he said, I think I've felt the proper amount of time between putting the chicken in the oven and taking the chicken out that nowadays I can just feel it. It's like an internal alarm goes off. It was right then that the paramount importance of the discipline of the 1,000 reps really hit me, because his job is not the chicken, right? The chicken is relevant, but his job is not the chicken. His job is the entire kitchen. But because he didn't have to check on the chicken, he was able to be fully immersed in this greater role of orchestrating this massively chaotic chicken. His prior discipline led to his current freedom. And it was that current freedom that allowed him to truly embody being a chef in those moments versus being a technician. It allowed him to orchestrate. See, great learners know that the fundamentals of a thing, the rote execution, the hardwired execution, the putting the chicken in, the getting it ready, the pulling it out, the reps of that have to be mastered to be able to really focus on developing a true relationship with the activity, a sense, if you will, or a feel, as Chef said it, right? The feel that you're not constantly putting ram towards it because you're feeling it, because you've done so many reps. Great learners know that it's only when the mechanics are on autopilot that you can explore the nuances, right? The aspects that are hard, maybe even impossible to articulate, but it's the good stuff. There are so many dimensions to learning something, and beginners never really get past mechanics. Let me give you a few examples. So think of a new therapist or somebody who's new to any technique. Let's just say cervical manipulation for the point of this conversation. Think about them performing this manipulation on a patient. Okay, they're running through every step in their head. They're not on autopilot, right? As they're doing it, what's happening? Their hands are getting heavy. You know, the more cortically involved they get, the heavier their hands get. Why is that a problem? Well, number one, it's uncomfortable. But number two, they can't sense or feel anything else. They can't sense that patient's guarding a little bit, right? Maybe because you're pulling her hair a little bit accidentally. Maybe because she's got a little bit of fear developing. Maybe that little plane of movement with that finer minor adjustment. Maybe that final minor adjustment was something she didn't love. You certainly can't feel the moment the patient relaxes, when she does feel good about the technique and her head gets a little bit heavier. You can't feel any of this. You can't really be with the patient because you're in your own head. What you begin to realize is you can't be outside and inside of a thing at the same time. So when you're forced to be inside of the mechanics of it all, you can't sense all of those critical components that move the experience from good to great. You can't sense that you should have put a lumbar bolster under her legs because during this objective, she mentioned her low back was extension intolerant. And even though she's not here for back pain, you still should have caught that. You should have caught that in supine lying. That lumbar lordosis is probably getting her a little bit stuffy down there and she feels uncomfortable. It's why she's fidgeting. But you can't. You can't sense those things because you're on step number 3. And that's side glide, right? And that's all you can focus on because you haven't hammered the reps enough to be free of that. Think of this. Think of a clinician who's new to deadlifting, themselves, new to incorporating inpatient care. Think about when they're coaching a client on it, how many things are not happening automatically. The first one's obvious, right? The actual points of performance, right? The explanation of the points of performance in an order, in a quantity, in a rhythm that makes that movement really approachable. Watch anybody who's coached the deadlift a million times. All of those things are automatic. Not only are they all automatic, they have strong preferences. They will tell you, oh, I coach the deadlift top down or bottom up because they've done it so many times that they have committed to a certain way of doing it that really seems to get good outcomes with their patients or athletes. The point is, it's on autopilot. They know exactly how that's going to happen. They can adjust it if new data comes to light, but they've got that part on autopilot. What you can't have until it's on autopilot is other things, not only the points of performance in the actual presentation of it all, but you can't have an intuitive sense on where this person should start. How much load? Considering the data they gave you, their level of comfort, their enthusiasm for the technique, right? Other things they've done that are similar, their training history. You can't have this intuitive sense until you have the reps. All of this RAM of trying to think about how should I explain the movement? Where should I start this person? All of this RAM is preventing that clinician from sensing that one perfect, concise external cue the patient needs. From being able to root her on or celebrate a really good pull, from being able to watch the bar speed level of comfort and thus fine tune the load on the next set or organize the rest of the EMOM because you can't be outside of a thing while you're stuck inside of a thing. That's the problem. But that's what the greats do when they've made so many things automatic. Let me give you one more example. It's maybe the most obvious one, but think of watching a new teacher. Think about, we've all had this experience, right? Think about watching someone who's very new to teaching. First of all, they're nervous in general, right? But they're worried about steps, right? They're worried about which slide comes next. What do I have to make sure to say on each slide, right? How fast do I have to go to make sure I get done by the buzzer, right? All of these things, the process steps, the mechanics are occupying all the RAM. Can this teacher read the room? Of course not. Can they tell who has a question but needs a little bit longer, a little more of a pregnant pause to pull the trigger on actually asking it? Can you tell when an audience is ready to escalate their energy, to elevate it, to peak, if you will? But can you also tell when you're overwhelming the audience and the most important thing is to pause and recap? Because they can't handle any new information until they feel they've really gotten confident with what you've already said. Can you tell any of those things? No. You can't do any of it because you can't be outside of the thing because you're stuck inside of the thing. You don't have freedom from the mechanics. Competence. Basic competence is achieved by gaining a decent handle on mechanics. That's what competence looks like. Mastery is achieved by making the mechanics automatic and then directing the energy that you freed up to develop a relationship with the subtleties, with the character of the thing. Most people will never experience mastery, not because of a lack of talent, but because of a lack of desire, willingness, and discipline to adequately drill the fundamentals to a point where they are granted freedom from them so that they no longer have to be inside the thing, they can be outside the thing. They can be attending to the energies, to the relationships, to the important things that are dynamics of that ecosystem that you can't see, let alone act upon when you are stuck desperately trying to execute the steps because you haven't done the reps. It is the discipline of the 1,000 reps that leads to freedom to explore mastery. I just want to cover that because I think that when we talk about reps, people say, well, yeah, of course, the more reps you do, the better you get at it. It's so much bigger than that. The more reps you do, the more automatic the mechanics get, the more freedom you have to step away, the more energy you have to bring with you. It is what you do with that energy in the greater environment of the activity, in the relationship, that results in looking very different. And by different, I mean better. Give it some thought. I hope this encourages some of you to gain an obsession with reps, to gain an obsession with fundamentals, because I'm telling you, all the things that make you love something come when you get to step away from the mechanics. All the things that make you want to share with somebody else how to do the thing, how to be immersed in the thing, it all comes when you have freedom to step away from the mechanics. You will never get there if you don't have the discipline of the reps. Discipline equals freedom. Thank you for it, Jocko. It's true here as it is everywhere else. Team, have a wonderful Thursday. Hope it all makes sense. Drill the basics, because it is the drilling of the basics that creates freedom. Freedom creates mastery. Have a good Thursday, team. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.